count us in as we go to fade to black. Actually, we have one more change. Let me fix this. There we go. I was forgetting something. It's always the littlest things. All right, I am going to fade to black right now. Here we go. 5, 4, 3.
Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for September 22nd, 2023 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Ubisoft whispers an announcement of a new game into the wind, and game developers call out Unity for anti-competitive practices. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Timur Hussein, everybody. Tam, how are you doing?
I'm suffering right now.
You made a discovery about
Oh.
some Japanese Bloodborne T-shirts that you have to import. So
Yeah.
you're paying a premium.
Propaganda Panda in the chat dropped in a link, which
With no remorse for your safety or sanity.
No. I trust Propaganda Panda, and I clicked the link. I was thinking it would be like a nice image or something.
Lesson learned, huh?
To Torch, which is torch.jp.
That's what you're going to do to your wallet.
And there are so many things on this. And I put every single t-shirt. I just scrolled down. There's more.
No. Oh, there's more. Oh no. Okay, hang on. Let's see here.
Oh my lord. You gotta bring this up.
Yeah, I'm about to. Let's go to there it is. Oh, that's still that.
Dude, there's shit in here that will never get made. There's anywhere else.
Oh shit. Sorry, that's the dodgeball thing again. I reopen close tab. Don't worry about it. Don't worry your pretty little head about it, Tam. It's all good.
There's a t-shirt for Volta.
Okay, let's see here.
No
yeah,
one-
look at that. There's a lot more t-shirts down here.
There's a Murgo's Wetness t-shirt. That's insane.
There's just, I think they got it all. You got to collect them all.
There's a Father Gascoigne t-shirt.
I listen. I've always said this. Bloodborne's basically Pokemon.
This is a violence inflicted upon me.
Some of these aren't even low. Okay, there they go. Yes, there's the Father Gascoigne.
Dude, I want that Crow Hunter
There are
badge.
so many t-shirts. You cannot buy all of these Tams. Here's the good news. Because there are now so many t-shirts, you do know you have to pick and choose, right? You can't get them all.
Do I, Jeff?
Tam, that's like $1,000 in Japanese t-shirts.
Dude, I went to the Father Gascoigne one, and the choices it gave me for sizes were WM and WL.
Oh, hell yeah, there we go.
What does that mean?
Do you think it's women's medium or women's large?
Maybe.
I don't. I do wonder why some of these t-shirts are at the bottom as opposed to the top, and usually I feel like they do that when they begin selling out of the popular sizes.
Yeah.
You can get it in heather gray though, which is the best color.
Oh yeah, Heather Gray sounds like an adult actress.
Yes, yeah, big fan of Heather Gray. Follow her on the hub. Sam, you listen. You got to make your financial choices however you need to do. I cannot sit in judgment of you. I have 2 or 3 more Yeti t-shirts coming still. One where I think there's a couple of characters from WarioWare. Very excited about that. And I keep telling myself I got to stop. I have enough, but I don't.
It's time to stop.
It's time. I did everything right, and they still sent me 17 shirts. All right. Before we get into this mess, let's explain what we do here most weekdays. I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Fix the scene real quick. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Ubisoft is making The Division 3 with massive entertainment. This is from Rachel Kaiser over at GameSpeak, the Kaiser Beam. Ubisoft revealed today that Tom Clancy's The Division 3 is in the works. Massive Entertainment, the series' longtime developer, is leading work on the new project while supporting The Division 2. Longtime creative head Julian Garrity is also returning to the franchise as he will be executive producer on the franchise and is overseeing pre-production work on the new game. The company revealed the news in a press release revealing Garrity's new position. Currently, he's working as the creative director for Star Wars Outlaws and will be part of the project through its launch sometime in 2024. Massive Entertainment is also working on an Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which launches in December. Garrity says he wants to tell other stories set in the Division universe. In a statement, he added, "We may have over 40 million players, but the Division is still in its early years as a franchise. There are so many incredible stories to tell, places to explore, and people to protect." In addition to the mainline entry in the series, Ubisoft also plans to release The Division Heartland sometime soon, which is a spin-off title, a free-to-play title, and developed by Red Storm Games. I think for mobile? Yes. Oh, no, mobile is the Resurgence one. Heartland's a different one. We got a lot of stuff happen over in Tom Clancy world.
Games.
Yes. Tam, this one like simultaneously surprises me and doesn't surprise me. Obviously, they're making a sequel to a Tom Clancy game of any kind, let alone The Division, a fairly popular franchise that has a lot of dedicated players. And yet, at the same time, Ubisoft's been moving more toward licensed games. I mean, the massive team's making a Star Wars game. So it's like, oh, are they afraid of continuing to build up their own IP? It's like, no, The Division is established enough that they're going to keep investing in that, right?
Yeah. It makes perfect sense that they would want to do another Division. I think of the pivot to live service games that they've done, I think Division is probably the most popular, right? Like the Tom Clancy, the other spin-offs, what is it called? The Ghost Recon Wildlands and that kind of stuff. I don't think it comes close to the performance of a Division.
Doesn't seem to, no.
But so this makes perfect sense. My concern is Ubisoft. Ubisoft does that thing that they always do, where they overcommit to one franchise and to the detriment of others.
Ubisoft, the company that's making 12 Assassin's Creeds, that doesn't sound like them.
They seem to be in a better place with having Star Wars on the side as well as a few other, not potentially as exciting titles as well in the works. But I still am concerned that they're going to be like Division is the new Assassins. Let's go. Where is that Division movie? What's going on?
Yep, that's going to happen too.
I know a lot of people love Division 2. I like in a way that I'm very surprised when this announcement snuck out yesterday and people were like, "Oh my god, yes, Division 3."
Yeah, there are some freaks out there for the Division.
I did not know Division was hitting with people like that. But
I enjoy playing it, but I do not feel that way about it.
I played it for a little bit, and then I think that was one of the games that was kind of like my breaking point for shit with numbers and boring.
Oh,
quests.
Sure, yeah, yes,
yeah.
I think as people play a lot of games, there's always a point where you're going to get to there, and yeah, I totally understand that. You mentioned you're worried about them going all in on one or two franchises. That does remind me of one of the leaked emails from Phil Spencer that I saw last night for the first time, and I don't know. I think it explains a lot of this. I'm going to read this, and I think because basically once you hear this, I think people will be able to understand what's happening with all of these publishers. So I'm just going to go for it real quick. The creation of digital, and this is Phil Spencer writing an email. The creation of digital storefronts
I think you mean Big Phil.
Big Philly Spence says the creation of digital storefronts like Steam, Xbox Store, and PlayStation Store eventually democratized access for creators, breaking physical retail's lock on game distribution. AAA publishers were slow to react to this disruption. The AAA publishers did not find a way to leverage the moat that physical retail created in the digital realm in a way that had them continue their dominance of the game marketplace. They have not found a way to effectively cross-promote. They have not found a way to build publisher brands that drive consumer affinity, the way that Disney has in video. They did not create a social platform that would allow them to reach beyond their aggregate IP monthly active players. Without a lock on physical distribution, the role of the AAA publisher has changed and become less important in today's gaming industry. Over the past 5 to 7 years, the AAA publishers have tried to use production scale as their new moat. Very few companies can afford to spend $200 million that an Activision or Take-Two spend to put out titles like Call of Duty or Red Dead Redemption on the shelf. These AAA publishers have mostly used this production scale to keep their top franchises in the top-selling games each year. The issue these publishers have run into is these same productions scale/cost approach hurts their ability to create new IP. The hurdle rate on new IP at these high production levels have led to risk aversion by big publishers on new IP. You've seen a rise of AAA publishers using rented IP, like Star Wars, to try to lead to risk aversion, or to try to offset the risk. And then he also mentions Spider-Man with Sony, Avatar with Ubisoft. This same dynamic has obviously played out in Hollywood as well, with Netflix creating more new IP than any other movie studio. Specifically, the AAA game publishers, starting from a position of strength driven from physical retail, have failed to create any real platform effect for themselves. They effectively continue to build their scale through aggregated per game profit and losses, hoping to maximize each new release of their existing IP. In the new world where a AAA publisher don't have real distribution leverage with consumers, they don't have production efficiencies, and their new IP hit rate is not disproportionately higher than the industry average, we see that the top franchises today were mostly not created by AAA game publishers. Games like Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, Candy Crush, Clash Royale, Dota 2, etc. were all created by independent studios with full access to moving forward. AAA publishers are milking their top franchises, but struggling to refill their portfolio of hit franchises. Most AAA publishers are riding the success of franchises created 10 plus years ago. And, you know, Tam, we talk every week on this show mostly, and we things happen where it's like, why are publishers behaving this way? Why is EA, a company that just struggled with the Star Wars license, now going into all these other licenses still? Like they're doing Marvel games. This explains it all. Creating the risk of creating a new IP when the budgets are this high are so scary to these companies that it's much more worth it for them to go out there and get these rented IPs. And it just explains the general risk aversion I think we see from these big companies, which is why when we talk about like where's the next $1 billion game going to come from, it's almost certainly not going to be one of these companies. It's probably not even going to be one of the major platform holders. Could be, probably not. It's probably going to be someone doing something new on Steam Early Access or something like that. In light of that, like I feel like this completely illuminates what Ubisoft is doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Between Avatar and Star Wars, they are one of the many companies that is doing that. It's kind of essential at this point for most major publishers and developers to have at least one licensed property available to them, that one bankable thing that they can either milk and spin off into various other things. I mean, like Sony's got one. It is Spider-Man. Microsoft has one, maybe. It is Indiana Jones, probably, hopefully.
Yep, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, Nintendo doesn't need one, probably, because, well, I guess they have Mario, right? He's a movie star. He's everywhere. Like, he's the closest thing that they have to a Spider-Man. The difference is they own him.
Exactly.
So
Big difference.
It's entirely their own. Yeah, so it is essential these days. It's also incredibly unfortunate. On the one hand, it does mean that we won't have a lot of breakthrough new IPs in the way that there used to be. How likely is it that we'll see a new something like a Gears of War, for example? It's not super high. And it also means that the knock-on effect of not having those IP appear and then become massively successful is that the exposure of video games is somewhat stifled and diminished.
Yeah.
Because we had opportunities where there were times in the past where, you know, the big discussion would be around video games are absolutely popping off. GTA makes more money than any movie franchise. And that's when everyone started paying attention to video games and being like, we should work with video games a bit more. Now it seems to have reversed, where everyone in video games is trying to make the most of movie IP or comic book IP, which means that we've become a kind of, you know, a leech on other IPs and other industries, which is not what we want to be. We want to be in a situation where we're creating kind of new things for people to love. That's just keep taking the kind of like large scale development stuff.
Yes.
I think we are still doing that on a smaller scale.
Yes.
I bet like there's 1 trillion companies that are trying to get the rights, movie rights, TV rights to Hades right now, or something like that. There's probably so many people after whatever, Vampire Survivors or whatever it may be, the smaller indie games. So on the other hand, it does provide a good opportunity for smaller mid-tier to low-tier or indie games, sorry, not low tier. Nothing's low tier. Everything's fucking hard as hell.
I'm low tier, but other than that, yes.
Yeah. It does provide them to attain a level of success that previously would have been like scooped up by major companies.
Yeah.
Like they are now able to be in a room with,
and overall that's healthy, right?
Movies.
I mean,
that is healthy.
Yeah.
That is definitely healthy. And that is the thing that keeps me from losing it all and being like, we got to stop making licensed games. There's studios out there that are making their own thing, and it's proving to be popular, and it's also being done in a space where they're less risk averse and they can take risks and create something weird and different and new. And then there's like developers that are kind of like in the middle there somewhere, which they have high production values. They're known as major developers and they're being weird and freaky, like Remedy to a degree. Remedy and like Alan Wake and Control and that kind of stuff. They're like super freaks out there. And then I would also argue GDPR is one of those companies where they are huge.
Yeah.
They probably are
bigger.
like, they probably are essential to the economy of Poland at this point, but they aren't one of those studios that, like them or love them, given the recent stuff that happened, or I say recent, but it's been years now with Cyberpunk. They are also doing weird things with those games. They are doing good things with those games, and credit where credit is, due. They stuck with that game and they made it exceptional again. And they kind of rebuilt their reputation. So there are still studios doing that, and I bet everyone out there is like, we need some of that Cyberpunk pie.
Yep.
So
I think you're right.
It does suck, but also it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, right? And it's a phase, right? I think that I think the Phil Spencer email properly identifies, and Nylack brings this up where he says, I get the part about the big spin not paying off, but not the part where AAA is available everywhere, and so it subverts the democracy of online stores. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that, because spending a lot of money on marketing, yes, anyone can do that if you have the budget. The point that he's making is that these companies have not built that brand affinity like a Disney or like a Nintendo, where you show up because it's the brand. Look, I mean, honestly, if anything, that has moved backwards. Think of a company like Blizzard, which was once that had that moat of like, we are a castle unto ourselves. People show up for Blizzard games. They still have that somewhat, but it's diminished. It is greatly diminished. And now people show up because it's Diablo 4, not because it's the new Blizzard game. And so, that's what, these publishers have really struggled with that, building an identity. Does EA have a fucking identity? Maybe on the sports side. Maybe. Even that's questionable. But the rest of it, EA Entertainment, no way are people showing up because they're EA fans or Ubisoft fans even. So that's where like companies are like, okay, well, now so the way we do compete is bigger budgets and bigger marketing spend, and that has made this stuff risk averse. What's an easier thing to market? It's Spider-Man and Star Wars and Avatar, not the new thing from Ubisoft, and that's the point here.
I also feel like it. In the same way that, we were just talking about, I wish video game developers went for smaller or mid-tier IPs and did good jobs with them. Like
that's technically, that's kind of what Cyberpunk was, right? A mid-tier IP.
Yeah, that's exactly what Cyberpunk was. Like, if you were into the board games and like role-playing tabletop stuff, you probably knew of Cyberpunk, but I don't think most people who are playing Cyberpunk 2077 knew of Cyberpunk, but now they definitely do. And like, there's IPs out there that garner a lot of love that either just are passed over or just get treated like dog shit. Like one that I keep bringing up is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, it baffles me how a good Avatar: The Last Airbender game has not been made. Like, that thing is massive. All we've had is just the cheapest, crappiest games. So I don't understand why someone isn't like looking at those kind of IPs and going, let's try make a game like, out of this. It's got some love. It's got people like it, and check it out. There's a Netflix series that I wish someone would make a game out of. Like it's had 2 seasons already. It's really, really good animated series. There's actually another season coming out this month. It's called Castlevania. Have you heard of that?
I mean, I've heard people mention it in passing.
Why is no one making a video game out of that Netflix animated series? It's unreal.
Me and Mike on our other show did a list of the top 5 best games of 2003, and I just kept looking at Aria Sorrow, just being like, man, we were getting one of these every single year there in the early 2000s,
and they were banging.
They were so good, and we were eating and feasting. It was amazing. You could just do that again. I just want to believe that we can live in a world where you can just do that again and it would pay off. But I don't know.
Yeah.
A Ubisoft sale clears the final obstruction for the Microsoft Activision merger. This is from Ollie Welsh at Polygon. It now appears clear that Microsoft will be able to complete its $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard within the next month. Competition and Markets Authority, the UK antitrust body, remained the regulatory holdout with the legal authority to block the deal. It now says its concerns have been substantially addressed by Microsoft's latest proposal. Microsoft has handed the CMA a major concession. The cloud gaming rights to all of Activision Blizzard's games will be carved out and sold separately to Ubisoft. Microsoft will still theoretically be able to put Activision Blizzard games on its own cloud gaming service, but despite owning the games, it will have to go to Ubisoft and bid for those rights like any of its competitors in the space, and it won't be able to withhold them from other services. The CMA, which was worried about the deal's potential to close out competition in the nascent cloud gaming market, seems satisfied, saying, the prior sale of the cloud gaming rights will establish Ubisoft as a key supplier of content to cloud gaming services, replicating the role that Activision would have played in the market as an independent player. Yeah, this I wonder, like, for Microsoft, this seemed like an extreme move. It does seem like kind of the thing that they didn't want to do, but they pulled the trigger, they did it, and now this deal's probably going to go through. Tam, I know we've talked this to death, but it does feel like it might actually be closing now, and the closing would happen in mid-October. This is a preliminary ruling, and then they'll have their final ruling in mid-October. I think October 18th.
So here's the thing, right? I know a lot about news. I have many years of providing my perspective and analysis of news. I know that we are on a news show right now where we discuss the news, but I'm also someone that likes to be as honest as possible with everyone.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about any of this.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there possibly to say at this point?
Good for you. Good job, everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice one. You did it. Good job.
We are going on. It's like more than a year or whatever. So I honestly can't remember anymore. So,
I wish I could just skip forward to the dystopian future where everyone owns everyone, because the process of getting there is just like mind-numbingly boring.
That's way worse, actually, somehow. Again, you can point out the consolidation issues, point out that Activision Blizzard was already a problem. Whatever. We'll see what happens with this.
It is like, it will be interesting. Like, I think there will be a discussion to be had once it's like,
right, once we start seeing what it looks like.
Once we start seeing it what it looks like, once there's a certainty. It also relies on technology and ideas and like lifestyle changes in the way we consume media that haven't come into fruition, are barely taking root. Like cloud gaming, like I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like very, very gung-ho on the idea of cloud gaming. I'm not saying it's never going to happen.
People are gung-ho about a lot of things, though.
The vast majority of people who play video games aren't playing cloud gaming video games.
You know what they are doing? They're buying iPhone Pro Maxes 15s or whatever that can run these games natively. They're buying those things. Exactly.
They're buying smaller hardware that can play their powerful games and look nice, like the iPhone, or more relevant to us, like the Asus ROG, the Steam Deck, that kind of stuff. That's where it's moving for us. The Switch, to a degree as well. That's where it's moving for us. And they can keep pushing and preparing for this cloud gaming thing as long as they want. Good for them. Don't make your future business bets everyone's problem. Like, it's fucking just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, once it's done, it's done. You know, Microsoft, that leak with the new Xbox that has an element of cloud gaming built into it.
Right.
I mean, that's the next time I want to seriously take a look at this again, barring any sort of major change.
The Kojima game, right? The Kojima game from Xbox that's going to use the cloud. We'll let Kojima explain what he's going to do with that shit, because know that's going to be wild.
If Kojima says it's good, then we'll take it seriously.
Exactly.
That's the bargain.
Right. We are waiting for him to come back. He's in the review booth right now. He's got his head over, like, under the tarp, looking at the camera. Like,
no one say anything about cloud gaming until Kojima comes around and does it first.
That's going to take a good role.
That's going to be that's the kind of like Winter Soldier trigger phrase to activate everyone's interest in cloud gaming when Kojima comes and goes, "Did you like it?"
Yep, and he releases some funky new trailer, and at the end, it's like it just says "Cloud Game Man." I'm like, fuck, let's fucking go.
I have brought transferring to the cloud.
I would be so excited if he called it transferring 2. I would lose my mind.
He'll call it like global weather transferring cloud or something like that, and
I'll wrap it up.
That's the coolest shit I've ever heard. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Could we have another? All right. Yeah, let's move on. Again, we'll talk about it again in a couple weeks when they do approve it. Sorry, everybody. That's how it goes. EU game devs ask regulators to look at Unity's anti-competitive bundling. This comes from Kyle Orland at Ars Technica. In the wake of Unity's sudden fee structure change announcement last week, a European trade group representing thousands of game developers is calling on governments to update their regulatory framework to curb what they see as a looming market failure caused by potentially anti-competitive market behavior. In an open letter published last week, the European Games Developer Federation goes through a lot of the now familiar arguments for why Unity's decision to charge up to 20 cents per game install will be bad for the industry. The Federation of 23 national game developer trade associations argues that the new fee structure will make it much harder for small and mid-sized developers to build reliable business plans by significantly increasing the game development costs for most game developers relying on Unity's services. The organization also publicly worries about professional game education institutions that may need to update their curriculum wholesale if there's a mass exodus from Unity's engine. Many young industry professionals, and this is a quote, who have built their career plans on mastering Unity's tools will be put in a very difficult position. Beyond simply being bad for the industry, though, the EGDF argues that Unity's move might be anti-competitive in a way that demands government action. The group takes a special exception to Unity's history of bundling its game engine with services like analytics, in-game chat, ad networks, and mediation tools, as well as user acquisition tools and more. That kind of bundling creates a significant vendor lock risk for game developers using Unity services, which also makes it difficult for many game middleware developers to compete against Unity. And this is something that we mentioned when this was still happening, that one of the things Unity was doing, hey, if you don't want to pay this fee, is this fee scary? Well, guess what? If you use our ad services, you don't get that fee. That's like, that felt like them strong-arming, using their market advantage to get people to use more of their services so they can make even more money. And it's like, that feels very anti-competitive on its surface. Obviously, that could be litigated, but that's what they're saying, is that this bundling is a problem. Do you think that governments in Europe, regulators in Europe will kind of like take this up? Do you think that's a possibility?
I hope so. I feel like more developers in Europe should kick up a fuss about it to help it along, because it's definitely necessary. I mean, like, it's one of those things where it's so stupid that it makes me feel like a naive child, where it's one of those moves where I'm like, why isn't someone stopping this? Like, Daddy, why is this happening?
Someone get the bad man.
Yeah. And it's like, it makes me angry in a way that, like, this is a catastrophic move. Like, has the ripple effect of this isn't like, oh no, a bunch of people have to pay a little bit of money to update their access to this thing. It's, you could kill game studios, kill like the livelihood of multiple people, small teams, big teams, force them into basically working and making games for minus profits. And it is destructive in a way that I'm like, how isn't a regulatory body seeing just the statement and going, what are you doing here? That's crazy. We're going to have a word with you. Can I talk you on the side, Mr. Riccatello? What the fuck are you doing? Like, you keep doing this shit. Stop it. But like, I hope that they do the EU regulatory body is, I think that it's not super reliable. In the past, I've seen like it has come in and taken proper measures to try and investigate things. At the same time, I've also seen them look the other way on things that seem like they should be up in their ass trying to figure it out. I feel like the important thing here is like a consistent and persistent pressure to do it. And I think that it doesn't specifically have to be European developers that do this. I would like love to see the global game development community come together and start like campaigning to do it, not just for EU, but like target every regulator in various different parts of the world where Unity operates, or developers that use Unity operates, and have petition their local governments in whatever way possible. You know, it's limited for people who are outside of the countries or outside of the regions, but you can still help bring attention to it and hopefully create more of a movement in addressing the issues here, or at least taking them. And the thing is, like, unless a actual government regulatory body gets involved, these companies and corporations won't do anything. Like, because when a government gets involved or a regulatory body gets involved, it hurts either their bottom line, their wallets, their stock, their perception, their whatever it may be, or it's potentially puts them in jail. So those are the things that really, really, really will make them rethink what they're doing. Us bitching and moaning on Twitter will do some of it, but until government appears and is like, you better stop that, they're not going to take us seriously.
Yeah, and it's establishing those guardrails for now and into the future would be, you know, have a permanent positive effect, as opposed to, like, you know, these outbursts. Yeah, I think they're scary to companies. I think Unity's definitely in a position where it's scared of the reaction for sure, and that's effective. But it doesn't necessarily mean the next person to come down the line, the next company to come down the line, will have learned this lesson that Unity is learning right now. And, like, will Unity actually learn this lesson? I mean, that's still yet to be seen. I still don't think they've put out that messaging that they promised to do so over the weekend.
Man, if I ever see John Riccatello on streets, it's on site, let it be known. Fucking man's a menace.
Just an atomic wedgie that the world has never seen before. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to hit him or anything. I'm just going to be like incessantly annoying to him. and I hope that he goes away. Like, this man is a menace.
All right, let's go ahead here. Game Boy Advance game Kirby and the Amazing Mirror is coming to Nintendo Switch Online. This is from Chris Scullion over at VGC. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror will be added to Nintendo Switch Online next week. The 2004 Game Boy Advance game will be added to the Switch's Game Boy Advance library on September 29th, Nintendo has announced. The game's plot revolves around a mirror world, blah, blah, blah. This is like the 12th game added to the Game Boy Advance offering on Nintendo Switch Online. You can also get Fire Emblem, Kuroin, Tam's favorite, The Legend of Zelda with the Minish Cap, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Metroid Fusion, Super Mario Advance 2, 3, 4, and then WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games. I love the Game Boy Advance. At first I was like, man, I'm just glad to have any Game Boy Advance games. Now it's like adding one at a time for Game Boy Advance is kind of rough. Could you please just add a few more? Because I don't love Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. It's not one of my favorite Kirby games. So it's like, yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. We went 5 minutes without a Kirby game being released on the Switch, and someone at Nintendo flipped out and was like, we got to fix this. But maybe add another game in there at the same time. Even 2 games at a time would be nice. But, like, hey, they said Golden Summer's coming.
Yeah, every month, Kirby and a different game. Like, just do that.
Yeah,
and when you run out of Kirby games, just start re-releasing the old Kirby games.
Start the cycle over. Take them all away.
Dupes.
And then just release them again. Dupes. Got doubles of those.
It's funny because, like, I don't know, at this point, like, for me, the Game Boy Advance, I love the Game Boy Advance, but like we said earlier, I think 95% of my time with the Game Boy Advance was Castlevania games. Like, legit Castlevania and Pokemon games. That was pretty much it. I don't believe I played much other than that. Like, I definitely played like a couple of the like Metroid Fusion and Mario Kart and Mario Advance, but briefly, you know, it was Metroid Fusion is the only one that has a lasting impression. So for me, I'm just like, the ones I want is Castlevania, and they released a collection. So I'm just like, all right, man, cool. Do what you want.
Exactly. Good. Man, I would like a DS collection. That would be fantastic.
Oh, dude, you know that they're going to give you a DS collection in maybe 20 years' time.
Exactly. Like, oh man, that's 2 screens. All these things have 1 screen. That's a lot of work. I guess we'll do it eventually. Fucking Konami. Fucking grow up, you know?
Grow up, indeed. Everyone just grow up. Especially John Riccatello.
Especially John Riccatello. This game added to the Game Boy Advance collection, so it's on that extension or expansion tier, which is $50 a year, not $20 a year. Valve doesn't expect to launch Steam Deck 2 in the next couple of years. This comes from Tom the Machine Ivan at VGC. Valve says it doesn't expect to release a true successor to Steam Deck in the next couple of years. So that's according to Valve coder Pierre-Loup Grafface, I'm going to say, who's currently working on the handheld, which launched in February 2022. Right now, we're kind of looking at this performance target that we have as a stable target for the next couple of years, he told CNBC. We think that it's a pretty sweet spot in terms of being able to play all the experiences from this new generation, and so far, the new releases are coming out with great experiences on Steam Deck. Obviously, we're working with developers on future releases, and we're monitoring the feedback there, but so far, I think it has been pretty good on the horsepower front. He also told The Verge, it's important to us that the deck offer a fixed performance target for developers and that the message to customers is simple, where every deck can play the same games. As such, changing the performance level is not something we are taking lightly, and we only want to do so when there is a significant enough increase to be had. This is probably the Steam Deck already feels like a console, given a console-like life cycle instead of a smartphone or tablet or computer life cycle is probably the right call, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think this is probably very accurate to what their plans are. I think Valve is also in a position where they control the hardware and the software delivering it, and the actual software that is running the thing is also something they have intimate knowledge with.
Yes.
So they're one of the few companies to kind of really make optimize games new and games from the future for that device. It just is a matter of them needing to commit properly to that endeavor. Like they have to, I assume they already have it. Like they have mentioned, like, you know, this person, Pierre-Loup, is probably part of a wider team that is speaking to developers and being like, all right, this is what you need to make this run. What is your game? Looking at their own hardware and then messing with it. I also feel like for some reason, the Steam Deck feels like it is, or the Linux operating system that it runs on, it feels like it is more capable of being tweaked and you know, having different dials and knobs tweaked and turned to kind of keep up with the changes in technology to a degree. Because if we think about it, like a lot of the games that I play on it they're PC games that look really nice, but they're like bumped down to like 720p in most cases, and they still look fantastic. Like they look great because of the smaller screen. So there is power to be played with there still. And I think like as Valve spends more time with the architecture, hopefully, and then, you know, game developers get better at optimizing their own engines, and, you know, games on Unreal and Epic figures out more like, oh, this is how we can make this run smoother and all those kind of things. Like I feel like the Steam Deck definitely has at least two or 3 years left in it before they put out a new one. And even then, I imagine the original Steam Deck will still be very viable.
Yep.
I think barring this, I believe this is accurate, barring any sort of hardware issues that emerge after a prolonged period of time, because we haven't had it long enough to know the long-term impact of
build quality,
build quality and that kind of stuff. Like sometimes I pick mine up and I'm like, this is too hot. Like I'm worried about how hot this is, and we don't know. Like it's been fine so far. But
those AMD chips do tend to run very warm. Those series AMD chips,
Who knows if 3 years into its life cycle, one day that getting very hot just makes it pop or something like that. And at that point, they're like, oh shit, we need to rush out another one of these, or like update one. Or I imagine they've done the kind of due diligence and stress testing, which every hardware manufacturer has to do. But still, as games get more demanding, who knows? It could be a game that is like, you know, the new generation's version of Crysis, where it's making PCs go nuclear and shit like that.
Well, I mean, I think you're like the thing we talked about, like them working with developers and how like they probably have a team doing that. I mean, I think we see the evidence of that. The thing started off with like Yeah, if you boot up a game, many of them are going to be automatically set to run on Steam Deck. And now we're at the point where we're getting Cyberpunk, and it has a Steam Deck preset option in the game itself that you could just select.
That is my favorite thing about. I think the Steam Deck is a fantastic piece of hardware.
I do too.
And it opened the door for me to consider other hardware like it, which is why I have the Asus ROG Ally, which transparency, they sent it to me. But I just had no interest in playing one previous to that. Like, they were the Iron Neos and stuff like that. There was plenty of stuff like that. But once I played Steam Deck, I was like, oh, this is where we're at now. Let me see what else is out there. And I love my ROG. I play that thing a lot. One of the most impressive things about the whole Steam Deck kind of ecosystem is how dedicated Valve has been to working with developers to make sure that their games are doing well. I think the first time I saw it happen was Elden Ring. Which was in review phase. Like, I was playing Elden Ring while I also had a Steam Deck, which I don't believe was out yet. So the Steam Deck wasn't out. I had a review. And like, during the review phase, before Elden Ring reviews went live or the Steam Deck was out, there was an update to make Elden Ring work.
And it was running smoother on the Steam Deck.
It was running so nice.
Yes.
Like, and the reason that happened is because they looked at the releases and went, this is a big game. People are going to try and play
right?
it.
They have that data, right? They know who has a Steam Deck, and they know who's wishlisting games, and they see a lot of people wishlisting this game, maybe even through their Steam Deck, and they're like, well, let's go talk to that studio. And it's like, that is a pretty big advantage. And like, then they have the team that can execute. I mean, what they did with Elden Ring was they have that Proton layer that like causes Windows games to run on Linux. And what they did with that is like, we know the shaders that Elden Ring is going to try to build when you're playing that. We'll just pre-build them for people and install that into the Proton layer so that when people are booting up Elden Ring, it's ready to go. And it's like that was not happening on other platforms. So you're getting this bad stuttering in the early days of Elden Ring on everything else, even powerful PCs, and it wasn't happening on the Steam Deck. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep playing here. Yeah, it's 30 frames per second, but fuck, Tom, this is great. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, and like you said, like Cyberpunk has got a pre-built preset in there, and I was playing Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty on there on the Steam Deck and on the ROG Ally, and on the Steam Deck it plays perfectly well. Like, it plays really nice.
That's fantastic to hear.
And the kind of, at least I had no issues with it. I did crank it down, turn off some of the effects, as you have to with a lot of these things. And as that continues, like, I hope that Valve, it stays committed to that stuff. I'm waiting for, I don't know if they have done it yet. I haven't checked in a little while, but something for Baldur's Gate 3 would be great. But even playing that Baldur's Gate 3 just vanilla without any sort of extra work done to it works well enough. So that's the thing that I find most impressive, and I think that's also what is going to give the Steam Deck mileage beyond what we expect, and beyond where we're like, all right, I want a new Steam Deck now. Valve is probably going to be able to be like, well, we can make these next few games come out and be like performing really well. So I don't think we need it yet.
Yep, I think that's right. And it's I'm very happy for this to just kind of settle in. It's like, this is the performance spec that you should be targeting as developers. And I think developers have fully seen the benefits of doing that, of targeting the Steam Deck, and more people will buy your game because people with Steam Decks like to buy games, it seems like. So it's going to work out in your favor.
Portable game. This is a complete tangent, but I had a scary revelation the other day. And it was like, it was one of those moments where I had a cold sweat and my hair was on the back of my neck was standing up.
Okay.
I've had multiple moments in the last few weeks where I thought to myself, I wish I had something that I could play my PlayStation 5 remotely right now.
You're going to get one, aren't you? I'm getting one. 100% getting one.
It's happened in
PSP,
a weird
baby,
amount.
it's back. PlayStation Portal.
It's been so like every time, like when it initially came out, I was like, no, sure, I'm not doing that.
That's a scary story right there.
I was like, shit, I'm one of those people. I'm falling into it.
Yeah, well,
and I blame the Steam Deck. I blame the Asus ROG. I was just sitting there and I was like, oh, I would love to be able to play it. I can't remember what PS5. I think it was like Armored Core or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what game it was. I have since got that on PCs. So
yes, I've been playing. That's where I've been playing it on the Rogers.
But like I've still been like, I could bang on my PS5 and play a bit of that right now. So I have a feeling there's a PSP in my future.
I'm getting one. Actually, I hope Sony sends us one, and then we'll see. We'll take it from there. But I'll probably end up buying one for myself.
Every time I've had that realization, I've stood up and walked into my hallway.
Just like go take a breather.
No, it has one of those full body, like almost floor to ceiling mirrors where you can see your entire self. And I've gotten real close, and I've just said,
giving yourself a stern talking
to myself, I've just been like, grow up, and.
Well, listen, we'll see. We'll see if that's going to work. It sounds very powerful, so I hope you're able to convince yourself not to make any rash decisions. All right, let's move on here. A new Lord of the Rings game, Tales of the Shire, is coming to consoles and PC. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. A new Lord of the Rings game, Tales of the Shire, has been announced for PC and consoles. It's being developed by New Zealand-based special effects and prop company Weta Workshop, which is perhaps Weta Workshop, which is perhaps best known for its work on the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films, and will be published by Take-Two's Private Division label. Still, yet another Lord of the Rings thing that's not under Embracer. Your cozy Hobbit life awaits you in Tales of the Shire, a heartwarming new The Lord of the Rings game due out in 2024 on console and PC. And that's messaging from Private Division. There was a teaser trailer for the game, which is listed as coming soon on the publisher's website. And it's just a kind of showing someone drawn in a diary, sort of like what's his name does in The Hobbit. Bilbo, yes. This seems like it's got a good tone to it. I like this idea. I'm also interested to see a game from Weta. I know that I think Unity bought part of Weta. But I think this is the part that's not owned by Unity, I think. But I guess I'm not sure. So
massive L for John Riccatello once again.
Yes, exactly.
Take that, hold that L, hold it close to your chest, and feel it.
Oh boy, I don't know. I can't. Listen. I know Lucy's feelings about all of this. I know she's a big into all of these things. How are you feeling about yet another Lord of the Rings game after the Golem incident? We'll call it.
Honestly, I'm just really happy for Lucy.
Yes.
I feel like she needed this. I feel like she wanted this for a really long time. And she deserves this, and I'm glad that it's, especially after Gollum, which I witnessed the emotional and physical impact that game had on her.
Just psychic damage done to her.
It was like watching Harleen Quinzel transform into the Harlequin character.
Sure.
Where like that game Gollum was the Joker on her, where like she began being like disappointed and confused, and then by the end of it was like laughing maniacally and swinging a comically large hammer around the office, and we were like, what happened to her?
Yep, it broke her.
And it was Gollum's hair physics apparently that happened to her. I am also very excited at the idea of Weta Workshop doing a game, because obviously their work in movies is legendary, right? And this is also a spin on Lord of the Rings that, one, is fresh, we've never seen it before, and also two is like just it's interesting. It's something that people didn't expect to see coming, right? Like and even I'm interested. Like, I like Lord of the Rings. I'm not a fanatic about it. I don't want to play any Lord of the Rings games anymore. Like, the ones that I enjoyed were Shadow of Mordor, and that's it.
Yeah.
Those are the only Lord of the Rings
I want to play Return of the King for GameCube again. I kind of want to do that, but other than that,
that's your
thank you for respecting my decision. Yes,
I respect that. I will not be joining you on this endeavor.
I understand.
But
it is two-player, but fine.
Yeah. This is something that is like, I will definitely give it a go. It's more, if only just to support them and like say, tell the industry at large that you don't have to retread old ground repeatedly. But yeah, it seems like also it's based on the mad mumblings that Lucy was making during like the airing of this. This isn't based on the movies, it's based on the books, which Embracer doesn't have the
full
license.
Right.
The rights
they don't. They cannot hand out the licensing to other. That's still the family doing that, right? And this deal obviously feels like it was in the works before anything was happening with Embracer anyhow. So probably doesn't involve them.
Yeah. So I'm up for this, man.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, cool, go for it.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think
good. Something different.
Right. For me, these big properties are best off when they are being treated a little bit more like Warhammer and the early 2000s Star Wars stuff, where it's like, just try everything. Just throw a million ideas at the wall. And so when you get a Golem and it sucks, it's not that big a deal because you're going to get another one from another studio in another genre in like 3 months, and that one might be your jam. I mean, Warhammer 40K both do a good job of that. And they have a lot of misses, but there's occasionally one where I'm like, I enjoy this, and I'm not even a Warhammer person. So, and I think, Star Wars is trying to get back to that sort of that cadence. It seems like John Drake speaks to that a little bit and how difficult that is with the lack of developers out there to actually make deals with. But there's definitely more in the works. I always hear rumors about new Star Wars things in the works from other studios. So I think doing that with Lord of the Rings would be very cool.
I want to see. I want to see. Remember when they used to do like licensed versions of like puzzle games, arcade puzzle games that we play? Like, oh, here is a Star Wars Tetris. That's what I want back again.
Absolutely.
Give me like
or like Yoda stories, a little Tamagotchi with Yoda. Like, let's go.
Yeah. The next Star Wars game I want is Star Wars Peggle.
That's it.
All right.
Man, I kind of want everything Peggle, though. Anything with Peggle would be great.
Oh, God.
Speaking of running ideas into the ground, Bandai Namco seems to have a good idea about like how to handle this. He says they say every publisher has to focus more on their own expertise. This comes from Marie Delisandri at GamesIndustry.biz. Bandai Namco is planning to release several games this year. That includes Armored Core 6, Tekken 8, and Little Nightmares 3. But they are also focusing on expanding their presence in the UK, where they see a lot of potential for their anime IPs. But they also
no, they don't. They're fucking lying.
Yeah, they might be lying about that.
I have done a video on this on YouTube. I'll try and find it.
Yeah, drop it.
Namco. Listen with the most amount of respect. Namco Bandai. The anime IPs need to be taken away from them. I think the video is called "Please Stop Turning Anime into Arena Fires" because that's what Namco Bandai does.
So this
Namco
is exactly
Bandai
right.
turns every IP into the same fucking game, and it is infuriating to me. It's one of the things that makes me maddest in this world, and that's what I'm talking about earlier when I said people aren't looking at all IPs. And Namco Bandai has unfettered access to some of the biggest animation IPs in the world, and they make the most bottom-feeding, low-effort games ever. Like, I still maintain the best Naruto game ever made has been made by Ubisoft. Like, they at least tried. Bandai Namco is just... I would maybe allow them, like, that last Gundam game was interesting and different, but, like, they're like a yo-yo. They'll make one decent little different idea, but then go straight back to arena fighters. And I'm sick of it, man. I am sick of it. I respect that they tried with One Piece, the latest game, but like, I want more of that. Why isn't there a good My Hero Academia game? Why isn't there a good One Piece game that is, actual taking One Piece seriously? It's the biggest IP in the world right now. Like, Netflix is just eating so well off of it. Do a half decent game that isn't just a arena fighter. And isn't just, that same old tired format that everyone keeps making. I do not believe that Namco Bandai sees any real interest in making the most of their anime IPs. I think that they will continue to milk it for as long as people don't put up a competition. IPs and IP holders in Japan seem to be just very cool with giving Bandai Namco access to it because Bandai Namco has their fingers in a lot of pies and is huge in Japan.
Yes, gigantic.
But it is, I just want you all to know that they are absolutely doing you dirty, man. Like, you're getting nothing out of this, and you're just putting out like the lowest form of adaptation of your games. Like, you deserve better than that.
That's like that's basically, they're like, every publisher has to focus on their own expertise, implying that their area of expertise are these anime games. And it's like, you call that expertise, but what that looks like is a formula that you're just sticking to over and over. And they talk about, like, later in this article, the Delisandri wrote, that I don't have the whole thing here, but she writes that they explain over at Bandai Namco, they're like, oh no, we're happy with that. We're getting more and more variety within these anime games. And I see that, like, that's maybe the right idea. Like, when you start, like, okay, yeah, our expertise is anime stuff. So let's try a bunch of different stuff in anime. But they're not doing that. They are definitely not doing that.
It's funny because like I think their anime output is not good. I think their other game output is excellent.
Yeah.
Like I
Tekken
feel
8
like
looks like hot shit. Cannot wait.
Tekken 8 looks like the Tekken games are absolutely popping off. Like Armored Core is fantastic. Like it is a amazing project for them. Like they also do like good RPGs still. Like Tales of Arise, they just announced new DLC for it. Tales of Arise is superb as a game. They have outside of anime stuff. I think Bandai Namco is excellent. I love like keeping an eye on them. I take them very seriously when it comes to their other games that they publish. It's just that the anime stuff is, and also like Little Nightmares and stuff like that as well. That's a good move in investing in that. And obviously they publish Elden Ring, which is a big deal.
Was a good idea.
Yeah, working with From is a great idea. So I buy them. I buy them as a publisher. I don't like them, and I don't trust them as an anime game adapter.
Right, and that's kind of what we like. Not getting into that rut, not being risk averse when it comes to spreading out your wings in your area of expertise. Like, I don't think anyone is necessarily suggesting every game that they have to try needs to be completely different from a completely different source material or something like that. Yeah, you can have your lane, but trying new things and doing different things in that lane is kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Do the thing we want from you in a surprising way is where I'm at with most of these companies.
Yeah. I guess the discussion that we're having here is a kind of retort and rebuttal to their statement that every publisher has to focus on their expertise.
Yeah.
As they define their expertise as anime games. I don't think that's their expertise. Maybe it is what they believe. I think their expertise is in non-anime games, like having a variety of good RPGs and working with From and
getting
having this kind of like and having Tekken be like a crown jewel in their arsenal, and then focusing on like classic titles that they might have still knocking about. That is what I believe that their expertise is, and it's broad enough that I wouldn't describe it as an expertise. Like the anime stuff is what they think they're good at, but most of the people around the world are just like they're like disappointed, sadly, buying these games, being like, all right, I guess this is the only way I'll be able to play as Naruto or Luffy or whatever it may be in a video game for the next year and a half. And yeah, that's our rebuttal to that. So maybe every publisher doesn't have to focus on their expertise more.
Yeah, maybe not. Tekken 7 sold 10 million copies. That Tekken 8 is probably going to do very good.
Tekken is incredibly good. Like it's one of those ones where it's like I fully anticipate that next game is going to be exceptionally good and pop off and be super, super well. Like there's a confidence in the way they make the Tekken games that is like, they know they're like, we're going to make this game. It's going to be fucking amazing and a huge success. And I'll be surprised if it sucks in a major way.
We have a poll from yesterday that we're going to get to. Do you like when celebrities do voices for characters in video games? No, that's for 2 years ago. Excuse me.
Hey.
There we go.
You should watch the latest episode of Spot On.
That's going up today, right?
That's going up today, which is me and Lucy talking about celebrities as voice actors in games. And the damage it can do.
Excellent. Very cool.
To the industry.
Very much looking forward to watching that. Everyone can catch that over on GameSpot and YouTube. Do you like, I'm reading it again. Do you want Yakuza on Switch? Is actually the one from yesterday. 43% say yes, that would be great. 57% say no, I'd rather play it somewhere else. That seems fair. That there is an audience that would play it on Switch, but people probably have already been very happy with where they're playing Yakuza.
Yeah, I think these days the audience, people wanted a portable version of Yakuza, and that exists now.
Now it exists.
Steam Deck and the ROG and Aya and all the other portable PCs, basically.
There's a new pull up. Which Tom Clancy series do you want a new game from the most?
Oh my god, how has this got multiple choices?
Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six.
Jeff, I need you to do this for me. I need you to do this for me. Is this today's poll?
This is today's poll.
Remove Ghost Recon.
Okay, we could do it. I'll have to repost it, but we could do that. Okay, remove Ghost Recon.
Delete it. Remove Ghost Recon.
Okay.
Remove Rainbow Six.
Okay.
Remove The Division.
Okay.
Post the poll. Post the poll.
Okay. Right,
Post it.
We'll fix it. We'll get that done, everybody. And that'll be the poll for Monday when we do another Game S Mornings here on giantbomb.com. Tam, why don't you tell people what you got going on?
What is going on today? So yeah, as I mentioned, we've got that episode of Spot On going up. It's as I talked about. It's about celebrities and voice acting in games. We talk about kind of the recent bad and the recent good, and how it's better for the industry to create their own stars instead of trying to bank off other ones. And beyond that, there's a bunch of reviews that I put up on GameSpot. On the Giant Bomb side, we had Jeff's Bizarre Adventure go up again this week. It's for 2 more episodes of Cowboy Bebop. I think there's a UPF happening today. Is it Party Animals? Or
it is Party Animals. Yeah, we're gonna make that happen.
Cool.
We're gonna get it's 8 players, but the room can have 4 spectators that we can rotate in. So we're gonna try to get like 12 people in there and rotate as many people as we can, and keep that going for a couple hours. Should be fun.
Yeah. And then another week will begin. That'll be it. Yeah.
All right. The new poll is up. Thank you, Jan Ochoa, for the help there.
How much time we got? Can we keep going for a few minutes?
I've
got an interesting email here.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Let me just one more time. This is Splinter Cell is one option, and the other option is sorry, Tam. We have to have at least one other option. I'm gonna vote for Splinter Cell. Okay.
Yeah, good. I appreciate that.
The other Splinter Cell was winning the other one by a landslide. I mean, it was only 20 votes, but it was 90% of were voting for that compared to the other 3, Tam. So. I think you might have some people in your corner. Okay, good. Tam, what's up?
Okay, so I received an email, which is one of these research companies has done an investigation, and as always, it's completely pointless and dumb, but this is actually quite fun to talk about. Which video game characters would be the richest if they had real life jobs?
Okay, well, what is that? If they had real life, like, so if they had different jobs than they have in the games or something?
I'm gonna read this out. From Super Mario to Lara Croft. Have you ever wondered where your favorite video game protagonists and villains would rank in the real world job market?
Clearly, Wario number 1.
Yeah, he's Robin Banks. Game enhancement provider Secure Cheats, very reputable, it seems, looked at some of the world's most iconic video game characters and calculated how much each would earn if they landed their real world dream job. They base character earnings on data from salary comparison sites as well as publicly available
data?
bands.
They're using data?
Yeah. To find average year salary for more than 50 video game characters. Okay. Do you want to know who the 20? Do you want to know the top 10? I've got another.
You look at the list. If you think that top 10 is interesting, I want to hear every single one.
Okay. Number 10. It's immediately bad. It is immediely bad. Okay,
let's go.
Number 10 is Isaac Clarke.
Oh my god. Who is space engineer.
Who is given a yearly salary of $84,000.
Okay, no way. There are so many, there's so many princes and shit in games that have kingdoms and stuff, landowners, whatever. All right.
Number 9 is Mortimer Goth from The Sims.
Yeah, you just use the infinite wealth code or whatever.
Yeah. He's got 89,000.
Oh my
Number
God.
8. Bounty hunter Arthur Morgan. $90,585.
I'm assuming that's inflation adjusted, but
adjusted. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Number 7, research associate scientist Gordon Freeman. $91,097. Oh, the next one. Number 6. LAPD detective Cole Phelps.
Well,
from LA Noire.
We all know how overpaid the LAPD is.
I mean, $93,306 above board payments.
What is happening here?
Okay, number 5. This is the 5th highest earning video game character according to this research company.
It must be if they have real jobs in games or something like that. Because there's okay, all right, whatever.
Okay, NYPD detective Max Payne.
Yeah, just rolling it.
That dude guy is barely holding down a job. That is $96,600.
Right. In this fantasy scenario, we have to recognize that Max Payne would have been fired by now. So,
Max Payne 100% would be fired for killing everyone.
Yeah.
blowing up buildings.
Or maybe he's on
and
paid
being, like,
leave, I guess. So we'll see,
he's on drugs all the time. He would fail the very first drug test. At number 4, CIA operative Alex Mason from Call of Duty, who's at 106,905.
This
this is bad.
This was written by AI. There's no way this wasn't written by AI.
I like where this is going.
Sure.
I don't like where it ends.
Okay.
Because it's a damning indictment of all existence.
Sure. And the video game job market is just completely down bad.
Here's a top 3. Okay. At number 3, virologist Albert Wesker. Albert Wesker is earning 117,505.
Patents. He's earning way more than that with those patents.
He's earning 117K and literally killing the entire world with what he's doing. Like, he invents an apocalypse.
That's not basically a great return on investment. Like, if you're going to destroy the whole world for just 100, like, listen, like, that's just not really a good return, I think.
Okay. At number 2, I'm glad he's getting the bag. I don't know how he's getting the bag, but it is Special Forces soldier Solid Snake, who is apparently earning $139,632.
He's a private military contractor, right? I guess. So maybe
that man doesn't shower and eats ramen mostly.
That's right. He's still very frugal.
He's not doing much these days, man. Like, I don't think he's not holding down a Special Forces soldier job.
You know, his bank account's not like super stacked, even though he just loves living. Like,
I mean, like, firstly, this is before tax, so he's getting taxed to fuck by the American government.
Oh yeah, totally.
Secondly, my man's definitely not working for the government. He's proven that he does not trust the U.S. government many times. So
hey, he can make more in the private sector anyway.
At number 1, and there is a huge gulf between.
Sure, of course there is.
Second place, Solid Snake.
Because we're only at $107,000 or whatever it was.
The number 1 earner earns $432,524 a year.
And okay, the smoking man from Mass Effect.
Close, but not close enough. It is a CEO, which is a damning indictment of the video game world as well.
And if it's a CEO, they're making way more than fucking $400,000.
It's at number 1 is Handsome Jack from Borderlands, which is upsetting in so many. You know what the worst part of this is? Even in the video game world, the highest paid person, if they somehow came into our world, would be a CEO. You know what the other worst part of this is? The top 10 is pretty much all white males. Fucked up in a way that is like, oh my god.
Anything is possible in video games, except for equality for women. That one's still pretty tough to render. Unity just can't handle that.
I think the only woman, or the first... so there's 2 women on this. Bella Goth from The Sims, Bella Goth is a female, right? Unless I'm
it sounds like it.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Hopefully not misgendering Bella Goth, but intelligence researcher.
Sure.
Okay. This virtual maybe female is 75K.
Is Mario on the list?
No,
the bitch is a plumber. Like, he makes he probably makes like $70,000 a year.
At the bottom of the list is two people, joint earners. One of them is a woman, Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, SWAT team members, earning $62,543. Number 19 is Sam Fisher. That's unfortunate.
You know what?
At number 16, this is a bizarre, like, I don't know how they processed this. Is Homer Simpson, who is this the first time we've actually potentially had a wage for Homer Simpson? Because it does list him as a nuclear technician, and according to this, he earns $69,648. Nice.
All of this is pre-inflation stuff. This is before the wages started going up.
This is based on the Simpsons Hit and Run, but if Simpsons Hit and Run is fairly accurate to the Simpsons universe, so that might be the first time we've ever seen how much Homer earns.
That's really, I mean, it just shows how Springfield is in a bubble where a man working a job can provide for a family of 5. That's
crazy.
And within a dog and a cat as well.
Also, like, absolutely done dirty, Master Chief. My man saved the universe multiple times. He's getting 69K. You know,
his suit jacks him off. He doesn't need anything else.
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah.
Hey, Tam, I think I'm ready to call bullshit on this list.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Yeah, I've decided I don't trust it.
Before we dip out, I'll give you the 5 lowest earners. Ryu from Street Fighter, my man just walking around. Desmond Miles from Assassin's Creed, my man's laying down in a virtual reality device. Yeah, Cloud Strife, big sword, doesn't talk to anyone.
Yeah,
terrible.
Just gives plasma, and that's how he makes money.
Link from Zelda, always fucking falling through portals and like becoming a kid one day and adult next day, not employable.
Selling feet online, that's how he makes money.
Yeah. The lowest earner is Pac-Man, which makes sense. Pills popped daily.
Serious problems.
He's just about clearing 20K.
I hope he gets cleaned up.
As a security guard in Japan.
We're all pulling for you, buddy. You get your act cleaned up. We're all going to have your back there. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tam, thank you so much for taking your time to talk with me about video games today, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Dreg's Day is best day. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
All right.
All right.
I think we went like 13